What is ADHD? Well, if you're on this channel, you might already have some sort of idea about what ADHD is, or you might be just interested in finding out a little bit more about it. If you're new, hi, I'm Lorna, and you're watching Accidentally Awesome with ADHD. If this isn't your first time here, welcome back. Hello, I'm pleased to see you. So what is ADHD? It is a neurological disorder. It's a way that your brain works. You're born with it, and it doesn't disappear as we get older, sadly. It used to be thought that you would grow out of this condition, and now they find that while you might manage it better, you're unlikely to grow out of it. So it's classed as a disability in Australia. We don't get an awful lot of support because of it, but it's still classed as a disability here. It's also classed as a disability in the USA and the UK. I'm not sure about Canada or Europe or the other countries of the world. They're the only ones that I've had a quick check about. So if you're from anywhere else and you know what it is in your country, then please comment. I'd love to know. We used to say that there's 3 types of ADHD. There's ADD, which was the inattentive type. ADHD, which was the hyperactive, impulsive type, and combined, which is the special joy when you have both of these. You're hyperactive, impulsive, and inattentive. Now, it really depends on who you speak to as to whether or not they still hold with this. Dr. Russell Barkley, who is very well thought of in the ADHD community and is one of the sort of leading doctors out there, doesn't think that there is a distinction like this anymore. He certainly doesn't believe in it. He thinks that you have ADHD and that's that, and the symptoms of ADHD will change depending on age and circumstances and how you're coping with things, which I think is pretty interesting, because I'm classed as combined, but that would mean everybody's classed as combined these days. So ADHD, I've got a list here because I can't remember all of these things, ADHD, about what the symptoms of ADHD are. So if we look at inattentive ADHD, short attention span and being easily distracted, making careless mistakes, appearing forgetful or losing things, being unable to stick to tedious or time-consuming tasks, unable to listen to or carry out instructions, constantly changing activity or task, having difficulty organising tasks. And with the hyperactive impulsive side, being unable to sit still, particularly during relaxing leisure activities, and that's why I have this baby here, constantly fidgeting, unable to concentrate on tasks, excessive physical movement, excessive talking, unable to wait their turn, impulsive, and interrupting conversations. Now, if you suspect you have ADHD or you have got ADHD, a lot of these are going to be going ding, 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 ding up here because you recognise yourself in them. So let's take a slightly deeper dive into each of these and we can discuss what they are. So a short attention span and being easily distracted. Well, that's where all the squirrel jokes come from, you know, it's like, oof. But it's not a lack of attention. We have an abundance of attention and we notice more things than our neurotypical friends do. So for instance, when we are doing the squirrel joke and we see something that does distract us, it's because we notice everything that's happening around us. And because we are taking in so much input at any one time, we do get distracted. You would get distracted if a giant car zoomed past you. And for us, small things do that. Careless mistakes, again, we're distracted. We don't necessarily have the pathways to focus on one thing at one time. We tend to want to just get it done and move on to the next thing. Appearing forgetful or losing things. I hear about this a lot on our ADHD forums. You could turn up for things at the wrong time. You've put something down and you don't remember where you've put it. I see this in my kids a lot. I don't tend to lose things personally, but that's because I have worked on this for a long time, and I have certain places, whether I realised it or not, that I keep my important things. My keys are in my handbag, which is in a certain space. My shoes go in a certain place. So on and so forth. My kids haven't learned that yet, although I'm trying to do it. And this is part of what's called executive function, which is a big part of ADHD. And I'll talk about that on its own in a separate video. But being forgetful as well, it's turning up for meetings or appointments at the wrong time, at the wrong day, in the wrong place. I've done that. It's bizarre because I try and make sure that I am keeping a note of everything, and I put it in my phone calendar so it reminds me, but it still happens, and I hear it from a lot of people with ADHD. The next one we're thinking of is being unable to stick to tedious or time-consuming tasks. Our brains need novelty. We need to be interested in what we're doing. If we're interested in doing it, we will go down that hyper-focus rabbit hole. And we can spend hours on something and not even realise. If it is a tedious or time-consuming task that we are not interested in, we can't do it. Our brains are not wired that way. We need to have an interest in what we're doing to be able to keep to it. And this is a major difficulty for anyone with ADHD. The next one, unable to listen to or carry out instructions. This is a biggie. From children to adults. With children, I see it in my kids, they can maybe hold on to two tasks, two things that they need to do. So put your shoes away, wash your hands. On a bad day, we're talking one. So you can imagine what that's like for a child in a classroom where the teacher has given them a complex set of tasks to complete with their schoolwork. It's impossible for them to do, which is why ADHD kids can really struggle at school. As adults, we tend to learn to make a note of things if people are giving us a list of things to do. How often would you write down what's expected of you if you're at work, if you've got a note that you need to do, and then you can maybe work through that list one at a time. But it is a very specific thing, and it's very, very hard for people with ADHD to do. Constantly changing activity or task. Well, this is our need for novelty. It's our need for wanting to do something different if things are boring us. So, you might find that if a person with ADHD has a business, they could have 2 or 3 different ones because they need that drive. We quite often find that adults with ADHD change their jobs a lot because they get bored. So again, this can be quite a major issue. Having difficulty organising tasks, yes, because we may have to do 4 or 5 different things with one task, and our brains don't function that way. We need our tasks broken down for us. And then once it's broken down, then we can start to get a better understanding of which step to do next. Now we're on to the hyperactive, impulsive side of things. Being unable to sit still, particularly during relaxing leisure activities. It's so true. I interviewed and chatted to Laura Hopes today, and I said to her, it's only since doing these videos that I've realised how much of a fidget I am. I can't sit still. Even when I'm watching TV, it drives my husband nuts. I will crochet. I will scroll my phone. I'll have to be doing something. And, even now I'm sitting playing with this thing that I just bought. And I need it. It actually, while it might appear distracting, it might appear that you are not paying attention to things, we physically need to be doing the movement, the the craft, the phone, the whatever, the extra things, because that's what allows our head, our brain, our minds to focus, which is mind-blowing for people that are neurotypical, because they don't see how on earth that would work. It would be distracting for them, and it's almost essential for us. So I've covered that, and constantly fidgeting. There we are. Unable to concentrate on tasks. Now, I think every now and again, I mean, everybody can relate to this in some ways. You know, you walk into a room and you've forgotten what you went in for. But what if you were in the middle of a task and forgot what you were doing? That can happen when you have ADHD. You know, I've found myself typing an email up, and then I've been distracted, something's happened, and I have completely forgotten what I'm doing. When I was chatting to Laura today, I had to apologise because I zoned out completely when she was answering a question. I didn't mean to, but it just happens sometimes, and it's not because we're being rude or don't want to listen or don't want to complete that task. Our brains just sometimes switch off. And that sounds quite amusing until you realise that this is a chronic issue, and, you know, can be affecting all kinds of things in your life. Excessive physical movement is the next one. Yeah, you can see me swinging in the chair doing this. I've recently had a chat with my kid's teacher, because she has ADHD as well, and we've arranged for her to have fidget toys in the class, and she also has a desk that she can stand up, and then she can move about forwards and backs, lift her legs, and she's way more comfortable doing that, moving while she's doing her work, and it's actually easier for her to concentrate on her work. My son is allowed to sit and draw while the teachers are teaching him, and I was a bit concerned about that, and I said to them, how do you know that he's paying attention if he's sitting drawing or writing or doing what he's doing? And the teacher just looked at me. She says, I made a mistake one day, Lorna, and he actually put up his hand and said, that's not right. So we know that he's listening to that. So yes, excessive talking is another one. If you're with a group of people, you tend to monopolise the conversation. That doesn't seem like a big deal until you can put it together with some other things, which is the inability to wait your turn and interrupting conversation. So you can be blurting things out that are not at the appropriate time. You can be oversharing because you just don't stop talking. You can do all of these things with your friends or with work or whatever. And for a lot of people, this can be a major issue. And it can make them withdraw from friendships because they're worried that they have overdone it. They're worried that their friends are tired of this, that they're sick of them doing this, and it's not their fault. They don't want to monopolise, they don't want to do this. So it can lead to friendships being very polarised. It's either all or nothing. So if you have a friend that's ADHD, you know, be gentle with them if they do this. Maybe say to them, look, you're monopolising the conversation a little bit. Be gentle about how you say it, and let them know that that's happening. And the last one to talk about is the impulsivity as far as ADHD goes. If we want something, we want it now. As an adult, I've learned to control this. My kids can't. You know, kids are impulsive at the best of times, but no is not something that's in their vocabulary. It's pretty hard for them to do that. But this impulsiveness, although I'm giggling about it there, it can be cause serious problems for people with ADHD. Impulse buying is a massive problem for ADHD people, and that can lead to, obviously, financial troubles. Impulsive behaviour and risky behaviour is also another thing that can be really, really troublesome for people with ADHD. So I'll come to the end of that. I'll put this list in the description box so that you can actually see it, because ADHD, we do not keep this in our brains. Sorry, the kids are playing outside if you can hear that. So I hope this has helped you a little bit understand what the signs and symptoms of ADHD are and the different types of ADHD and whether or not they're classified of that or not, I don't know, but a lot of people refer to it like this. Certainly I was diagnosed with ADHD a couple of months ago and I was told I was combined, so a lot of psychiatrists are still using those terms. So just to go over that again, you have ADD, which is the inattentive type, ADHD, which is the hyperactive impulsive type, and combined, which is both of those types together. So I hope that this has been informative for you, that you now understand the different types of ADHD and the symptoms involved in having this neurological issue. It's not all bad. I'm certainly not going to say it's all sunshine and roses, but seriously, it's not all bad. I do believe that ADHD also gives us some superpowers, and if you have a look at some of my other videos, you'll see that. So I hope this gives you a better understanding, and I will speak to you soon. If you like this video, do me a favour please and hit the subscribe button. It means that more people will actually get to see these videos. Bye bye.